There we go. Now I can see everyone. Hey Nadja, hey Mats, Christian, Jack, good to see you. Hope everyone's doing well and had a good weekend. I always have to think what day it is because I keep forgetting if it's Monday or Tuesday. I remember when I was at meditation centers, I would just completely forget what day or time it is. It's just Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, January. Like, it doesn't really matter anymore because you're just sitting, and I remember the first time I missed Christmas. I was like, oh my goodness, I missed Christmas, because it just kind of, well, at the center there's no difference between Christmas and any other day because you don't celebrate it, so it's just another day. Or the first time I missed my birthday, it was a bit strange afterwards, but and it is something that has point in what we're doing here also in the center, is because you're so detached from reality or the rest of the world. What kind of rooibos tea are you drinking? I'm drinking, they have Lidl has this rooibos tea that I actually find really good. It's probably quite chemical. I mean, not chemical, artificial. And this is a vanilla one. They have one of caramel that's really good, and one of orange, and a natural one. They're also really good, and they're a good price, so I drink them all the time. But yeah, in a center you're so detached from the outside world that you miss what's happening. But when you start doing this and really looking at the distortion, you realize that distortion is not just, we tend to talk about it, oh, I have this thing in my past that's difficult and I've overcome that, so I'm liberated now. Or I have this Lord Nelson, that might be the one. Yeah, I think that's the one. Or I have this distortion or thing towards something that happened, and we let go of that and we think we're kind of free. But there's so much more. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all of those days have a feeling. There's a relationship to when we think of Monday compared to Friday or Wednesday or Sunday evening before you're going back to work. Like, all of those days have feelings. And what you'll notice when you start doing this practice and really look at, okay, I'm leaning into towards feeling joy all the time. No matter what my outer circumstances are, I'm feeling a sense of ease and lightness and just happiness to be here. And not because of the life story, meaning not because, oh my, yes, it's Friday, I'm off. Not that. Just because sitting here is enjoyable. Talking to you is enjoyable. Just experiencing my senses is enjoyable. And then it's kind of similar. So when I sit down, I don't feel, oh, is this Monday I'm going to do the guiding, or Thursday, no, there's no guiding, or Monday we have the rest of the week, or Thursday we're going to only have one more day and then it's those kind of things disappear, because that is distortion as well. And we don't think of that as a problem because I guess it's not really a problem for most people. I mean, we don't see it as a problem because it doesn't hurt us in that way, but it does create a sense of self. So that is part of the construct that is us, because everything we push against, everything we have some kind of emotional connection to, or like separation, or feeling like this is different than that, everything we do that with creates pressure and creates a sense of self. And when you start releasing all of these, then this sense kind of goes away. So it goes the other way around as well. Like, when you start losing the sense of self, then all of those things are just less important, and you don't really feel the difference between a day to another. How does that make sense, or is it just me rambling like usual? You see, Jack is saying the natural state of mind outside of the womb may as well be distorted till the line of monitor is flat. So trying too hard to go numb with senses might not be possible. Wait, I have to reread that. The natural state of mind outside the womb may as well be distorted till the line of the monitor is flat. Oh, until you're dead. So trying too hard to go numb with senses might not be possible. I'm not sure if you're referring to what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about numbness, not having a emotional reaction, and this is one of the issues. Again, I'm not sure if this is what you're pointing at, Jack, but we tend to think, if I say, oh, don't have an emotional reaction towards this cup, then you would say, like, okay, so I'm going to be... The only thing we can think of then is either I'm indifferent, I'm neutral, I don't feel anything, it's just there, kind of. So it's like, yeah, there's like no difference. Or I'm numb. Numb is tense, like you're stuck, kind of. It's tenseness, it's numbness, and that you pass through that quite often. Neutrality is not what we're talking about. I'm talking about enjoyment. But instead, think of it like this. Imagine seeing the most beautiful sunset you have ever seen, and you're just standing there, and the air is fresh, and you're just breathing this. Oh my goodness, this day is incredible. Just listen to the bird sounds, smell the air, see the sun come up, and just see how beautiful it is here. And you stand there and you look out onto the sunset and you say, this is the life, like my daughter likes to say. That same feeling is what I'm talking about with the cup. There is no difference between that appreciation of nature as in your appreciation of this cup. But when you have that like wow feeling of nature, that's there's still sense in there. So it's is more towards that, meaning that that like wow, but you don't feel wow. Imagine experiencing wow without the wow feeling. That's like you have to experience it to understand it. There's a lack of feeling whoa, but there's the senses go whoa. That's the best way that I can describe that. I don't think I've ever described it like that, but that's actually a good way of describing it, if you see what I mean. Hey, Nadia, I was looking forward to Monday as we have been sick at home all weekend. Good to get back to normality. Oh man, I know that feeling. You're sick with the kids and everyone says, oh, good for you, you're going to be home, it's weekend, you can calm down and relax a little bit. Like, I have sick kids at home. It's not going to be like calmness, or even if they're not sick, it's usually not calm or relaxed when you have a weekend home with the kids. Even though everyone without kids tend to think that, it seems like. Did that, like, could you see what I mean with the wow without the feeling of wow? Because that's really what we're aiming for, meaning the senses go wow. There's no difference between seeing a beautiful work of art or a sunset with seeing a pair of socks lying on the floor. The wow feeling, the wow of the senses is there, but there's not the feeling of, oh my God, I'm experiencing this special thing, I have to bring up my camera. That part is completely gone. See, Jack is saying, Buddha taught that everything is empty and the mind is not real, so anything we can imagine as a state of dukkha or emptiness can be only superstition and guessing. Anything we can imagine as a state of dukkha or emptiness can only be superstition. I think that's what I'm saying, but I'm not sure. Let's say it is. That sounded really good when you said it, Jack. I'm not quite as elegant with my words as those old scriptures are. Actually, my video for this week is called... this is something... I rarely use words like this, but the title is going to be something along the lines of The Universe Rewards Meditation, not knowledge of Scripture. Or it would be The Universe Rewards Action, not knowledge of Scripture. JVB, I returned. The Holy One is back. I mean, the Holy One, the Chosen One is back. Nice to see you, JVB. Long time. Jack, happiness is required. I think it is. I think happiness is required. And this is where I think Buddhism misses the mark, because if you do a lot of vipassana, there's no happiness there. And I've seen what happens to people who do that. They become neutral. They don't become numb. Well, they go through numbness, but they become neutral. There's this, like, just everything... And it doesn't lead to nonsense. I mean, I did this for 4 years trying to do this, but it just didn't give what I was after, and I didn't see that in the people who had done this for decades. So when I went to Plum Village and I saw people really focusing on enjoying and appreciating the world around them, they had something that the people in Theravadan Buddhism didn't have, and it's not really a part of... I mean, what you say, happiness is not required. I would say that Plum Village and Thich Nhat Hanh in Mahayana Buddhism would say that that is required. Or enjoyment, they would say. They wouldn't say happiness. And when I put those two together, meaning that when you have a really strong emphasis on training your mind together with leaning towards joy, leaning towards appreciation, that's when all of this stuff changed. And I think this is why I always thought that when I was in Plum Village in France, I was like, wow, these people, it's so amazing what they do here. It's incredible. They have something really special here. And then I go to Asia and I go like, wow, these people have something really special here. They get to sit all the time, and it's so useful to do that. But both those two camps, they kind of thought the Plum Village side, who just focus on enjoying and being with other people and making the world a better place, they thought that the people who sat all day, that's like, yeah, I mean, is it true that people become a bit crazy by sitting that much? And we heard lots of bad things about that. And it's very selfish, incredibly selfish to do that. And the people here would say like, yeah, I don't really know it. That's not Buddhism. That's some kind of hippie stuff. I mean, I don't really know. We like the loving kindness part. That's nice. But as far as meditation goes, that's kind of a joke. So they couldn't see the thing that was they were both doing that was good. And I was fortunate that I got to travel to both sides and see what happened when I got the training of my mind here together with the enjoyment and appreciation for the world around me there, and then put those two together with a little mixture of my own like conclusions and the way my practice went. I found something that just feels quite different, which would be the wow without the wow feeling, which is what the best way that I can describe non-centricness, or I refrain from saying non-duality, because if I say non-duality, they actually mean a little bit different. Non-duality tends to mean you feel as though you are everything, and you feel what other people, like if you hurt, then I feel hurt. Like you identify as everything. That's not non-centricness. Non-centricness is complete ease, effortlessness, and just enjoyment of being here. And from that peace and ease, there's a lot of what they talk about here, meaning that you just naturally want to help other people. It's very difficult to be violent. It's not that you couldn't. It's just really strange to do that. It doesn't make any sense. And hurting someone because they offended you or did something like it, that like makes no sense whatsoever. So a lot of people see this behavior and then try to kind of reverse engineer that by seeing, oh, they behave like this, so I'm going to behave like that, and that means I'm liberated. Instead of, oh, you do something and you look at this thing inside and something changes, and then out from that naturally comes something different. It's like trying to be a good parent or a good father or mother by doing nice things to your kids, but you hate them. You just don't like being around them. But you do you bring them to the playground. You're there, you do your duty, and then you give them to bed and you read night stories, but you're not really there. If instead you really love your kids and you feel you enjoy being with them, then it's much easier to, well, you might not bring them to do the playground or read bed stories to them, but that doesn't matter because they can feel the thing behind. Let's see, Jack is writing, beyond meditation, there is nothing to achieve and nothing to hang on to. The final form of meditation might as well not be a prayer for a better tomorrow, but letting go of the feeling of, yeah, absolutely. Nothing to do, exactly. Nothing to do, nowhere to go. And I don't need to worry. Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries. I can't remember. They have these songs in Plum Village. They sing them all the time. It's quite sweet. Good evening, Mindful Mama. Jack, Siddhartha said many times that everyone has the nature of Buddha, so it might be right to some degree. Nice. It's good to be back with everyone. Oh. I see JVB. Wait, did I miss the meditation session? Yeah, we're done, JVB. We've gotten so far since you were here, so we just we close our eyes, take 2 breaths, and that's basically the 20 minutes. Sorry you missed it. But it's nice you're here anyway. If you want to, we can do another one. We'll do it from the beginning, just for you. So it's more like what you're used to. So for those of you who are new, unlike JVB who's been here before, Mats, all right. Have a good night. See you too, Mats. LSD doesn't know JV. Yeah, we just chat a lot more. Sorry, JV. Yeah, for those of you who are new, we chat a bit before. Usually when we used to have 5 or 10 minutes, but lately it's just been getting like out of control. So we're sitting for 20 minutes. Last time I think we sat for half an hour before we started meditating. I need to get better with this. Then we do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, which is a method for coming back to our senses and letting go of this distortion towards the world around us. After that, we sit for 20 minutes. Today is Monday, so there will be a guided meditation. Today, I thought we'd do the same exercise we did last time, the Chabalabalabalabalati. It's a breathing exercise that I unfortunately didn't explain properly last time, and I will try to explain it better this time. No one's going to think I'm serious if they come and listen to this part of the meditation now. After that, then we have also a question and answer if anyone has any questions. But it's been like a bit more before now than before. JVB is saying, hey, give me a break. It's been a while since I've been... I know. We're happy to have you back, JVB. So, for the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, we focus first on 5 things that we can see. And we try to see them without a feeling, a good, bad, emotional connection, like I like, I don't like. We're just trying to see them as they are. Just clearly, there's a saying, in the seen is only the seen, in the heard is only the heard, meaning you don't put any evaluation behind that. Not that pressure that we normally have when we see something I like or something we dislike. I don't actually have anything right here now that I dislike. Is there anything I could take? Okay, let's say that I had really bad connections to this thing here. I bought this thing because I wanted to have an extra light on me, and oh my goodness, the amount of trouble I had, it started burning. There was a fire, like it was just crazy. This thing gives me so much anxiety when I look at it. It didn't, but I'm just saying if it would. So when I look at this instead, I try to really look at this thing and see it. If I would have had all those things happen, I would see this and I would look at a feeling. I wouldn't be looking at this thing. I'd look at my memories of, oh my goodness, this whole office could have burnt down. I spent money on this, it went wrong. It like all this time I wasted. Oh my goodness, this is making me feel. In other words, I don't see this thing. I see the story I have about this thing, the pressure I've built up through the thing that I believe was me in the past, and that is now creating this sense of separation, this sense of self. So when we're looking at things, we're trying to see, just if I take away that story and instead what I look for is reflections. I'm not sure if you can see this, but there's a reflection here, and it's quite beautiful when I move it. I can see how it changes as it goes over the texture of the surface. I can see these little spots here. There's this metal here, and there's shadows, there's texture. I can see that this has some kind of plastic texture. It's not completely flat. And then if I turn it around, I can see the lens, how that's reflecting. So I'm looking at this thing, and I'm doing my best to not look at the memory of this thing, of my relationship to this thing. I'm trying to just see shapes, colors, textures, objects, flatness. And there's a lot to looking at things. You can also, when you really start getting non-centric and really observing, you notice that 3D vision, there's a sense that there's something behind here that's real, even though I can't see. Like, for instance, here is a screw, right? You can see that. If I turn that and look at it now, I can feel that there's a screw there. I know that there's a screw there. That's a pressure. That's a feeling. That's a distortion. A very tiny one. And I'm not saying you should start with this stuff. I'm just mentioning it so that when this starts to happen, it'll make sense to you and you'll understand what you're seeing. Because no one talks about it like this, but this is really what it feels like. And it will feel like you have sometimes 2D vision. It's like you can't feel depth. It just looks like it's flat. And many people describe non-centricness or non-duality as if though the whole world just went up and like came up here. There's no distance. And then, therefore, you don't feel like there's anything behind it. So when we view and when we look through our eyes, we try to just see that. Yeah, the idea was that we should do 5 of those things we look at, and then we say them out aloud, and then you repeat them after me. I think I've said a lot of things to look at this. So try to see around you if you have 5 things that you can see. So I can see this lamp without the story. I can see a telephone lying on my sofa without the story. Wow, it looks so much better now, actually, when I don't have the story. I can see my office chair. And I can see a lamp. I see a pillow that's leaning a bit strangely. It looks like a face. There was lots of things that I could see with my eyes. After that, we take 4 things that we can feel. And it's the same thing here. We're trying to not have the story of what we're feeling. I like using the sofa because it has a nice story behind it. But I just feel, what does it feel like to run my arm over the sofa? And we try to appreciate and enjoy those feelings. Meaning if it's an uncomfortable feeling, I'm not saying like start hurting yourself and like get into like feeling bad. No, just if it hurts you, then obviously take your arm away. Don't put it on the hot stove. That's like just dumb. Why would you become an idiot when you start practicing? That's not the point. Instead, it's as long as it's nothing dangerous, nothing hurting you, just see how, hey, it's just a sensation. Some sensations can be a bit not nice, and they can make you have a distortion. So it could be that all this wool tickling the underside could feel like, that's the pressure, that's the distortion. But instead I just try to let go of that distortion and just feel. It might still be that I don't like running my arms like this, but I can then feel with my sense of feeling without the story of, oh, this is bad, this is nice. If you look at a child, they would just go, hey, oh, that's nice. Whoa, oh, I burned myself. Ah! And then they start crying. But they really just do. They don't have those stories and ideas and concepts of good and bad, dangerous, not dangerous, which we don't lose the idea that it's dangerous to put your arm on a stove, but you don't get the feeling, ooh, I'm putting my arm on the stove. That's the part that we're trying to look beyond. I can feel my hair. And I can feel that it's not been washed for a little while. I can feel the metal on this stand. I can feel my telephone. Oh, it's cold. Not just saying I can't see anything without having a story in my mind. It's very difficult. That's part of the practice. In the beginning it is, I mean, I'm not used to describing it like this. It's just easy now. It must be because JVB is in here. He's giving me this like guru power to describe things better. No, but seriously, it is difficult to observe without a story. And I'm not meaning that you should try to not think the story. When I say that, I'm also a bit careful of trying to make you understand that it's not that you should stop thinking the story. It's that you should focus on the sensations, purely the sensations, and kind of not focus on, because what we tend to do is like, oh, this is good or bad, and then we get caught up in the feeling. By shifting your focus to the sensation, just what's happening, and also looking at that perspective between the sense of me and here. So it's not that you push away the story. It's not that you ignore the story and try to like push it to the background. It's just there. I mean, you know that stuff, but don't focus on that. Instead, focus on the actual sensations. And that's why I'm saying appreciate and enjoy those feelings that they're coming up. Sorry for picking on you, JVB. I'll stop. We're really glad to have you back. I'm serious. So I think there was 4 things that I could feel. After that, we take 3 things that we can hear. And here we try to listen for nuances in the sound. And it's the same thing here. If we're talking about the story, if I just tell you, imagine that I take a chalk and I put it on a chalkboard and I go like that sound, like everyone knows that sound. There would be a like, if you would just listen to the sound like that, there's just the sound that makes, but then the difficult part is that's the story. I mean, that's the distortion. It's not necessarily a story that you're telling in your mind, oh, this is bad. No, it's a relationship that says, this is bad, I don't like this, oh, this is uncomfortable. And it could still be uncomfortable for years, and you would do this. But you could do that without, you could simply do, I mean, that's the difference. And that's why this is so amazing when you start to understand this and practice it with how you relate to people around you. Then all of a sudden, wait a minute, I can actually tell someone stop doing that without this. I mean, it's very difficult with kids because they're just like, stop it, and they just never stop it. So they're very good practice if you want to look at this. And I think being a parent just naturally helps you look at all this stuff coming at you. I lost my track. Listening to sounds, yes. So drawing the chalk pen on the chalkboard really creates this story. It's not a mind story necessarily, but it's a relationship you have towards that you don't like. So 3 things that we can hear. And try to listen for nuances within the sound as well. You don't necessarily have to take the first sound you hear. I hear wind blowing outside. I can hear my pulse pulsing in my right ear. I can hear tires from a passing car. So 3 things that I could hear. Next we take 2 things that we can smell. And as we go along, we get to senses that we as humans just don't use very much. How often would you say that you're really smelling things? Because most of the time we just ignore that sense altogether. Same with flavor. We don't use that sense. And much of the food that we drink is almost like raping the tongue. It's like it's such intense flavors to make it like, whoa, you feel something. Whereas when you stop eating lots of sugar and lots of like all these strong like artificial sweeteners and not just sweeteners but artificial flavor enhancers, all of a sudden you're like, wow, there's so much flavor in like a normal strawberry. It's insane. But we numb our sense of taste with like giving us too much stuff. So with the smell, really we just don't use it very much. But it's the same thing here. When you stop and calm down and really notice your senses, you're gonna notice smelling more. I remember one time I was with my fiance, and it was from the Netherlands, and we were walking, and there was a woman who walked by with flower perfume, and I was like, oh my goodness, oh, she smells lovely. That's the most amazing smell I've smelled in my life. Fortunately, my fiance is also a practitioner, and she understands. Otherwise, she might have gotten it the wrong way. But really, when you smell without the sense of me here, when you're really experiencing what does it feel like to use your sense of smell without this, like, oh, it should be a certain way, or I like this, don't like, but just smelling, it's incredible. It's just there. It's the sun, the wow of the sunrise, but without the wow feeling. It's just incredible and enjoyable to experience your senses. So 2 things that I can smell. I can smell my own sweat. I can smell vanilla. There's a slight scent of sweet vanilla. And then finally, one thing that you can taste. I have that kind of dry saliva taste, when your saliva gets a little bit dry, you're a little bit sick, and then it just has a different taste. Yeah. That one I would say is enjoyable to taste compared to tasting the tea. But it's just a taste. It's just something my tongue is tasting. So today is Monday, and we'll have a guided meditation. And I want you to, first of all, start focusing on your breath. Just start becoming aware of what breath feels like when it's happening inside of you. We're not trying to control the breath. We're not trying to make anything in particular happen. Instead, I just want you to bring your awareness to your breath and start observing what it feels like when breath is coming in and breath is going out. And we've been talking a lot about stories and sense of self and how that creates this illusionary centered point which we feel is you. And I want you to ask that centered point that for the next 20 minutes, if you can just take a little break and not need to analyze what happened in your past, all the memories and all the story that you built up towards this feeling of you, if you can just let that rest for 20 minutes. After that, give it your deepest, sincerest promise that it can come right back and start distorting and thinking about all the things of the past. But just for a short break of 20 minutes, just let all those things rest. And then do exactly the same thing for wanting to figure out what's going to happen in the future. Feeling the need to control, to steer, to make reality happen or appear in a specific way, instead of stepping to the side and effortlessly let it just happen around you as you move and just slightly move yourself to make reality appear in the way that you find enjoyable, or not. Either way, you're still enjoying and appreciating being here. So just let that part of you take a rest for the next 20 minutes so that you can focus on this one single simple thing, which is the breath. And to make it a little bit easier to do this, we're going to do a breathing exercise where we count our breaths from 1 to 8 and then down again from 8 to 1. Now, we're not trying to control the breath. We're not trying to make the breath happen in a specific way. But when I do the breathing, I will make the sounds as if though I'm breathing in and out. And I will make them sound louder than they actually are. This just to emphasize so you can see what I'm doing. But for yourself, whatever tempo you're doing, just let that happen. And just let my voice be a sound in the background as you're counting your breaths. So I'll do it together with you once, and then you can continue by yourself. So, breathing in and out. 1. Breathing in and out. 2. Breathing in and out. 3. In and out. 4. Breathing in and out. 5. Breathing in and out. 6. Breathing in and out. 7. In and out. 8. Breathing in and out. 7. In and out. 6. In and out. 5. Breathing in and out. 4. Breathing in and out. 3. Breathing in and out. 2. Breathing in and out. 1. Now continue counting your breaths by yourself from 1 to 8, and then down again from 8 to 1 as you breathe in and out. 1. Breathing in and out. I want you to keep on focusing on your breath, but we will try a breathing exercise which is a bit energetic And we will only do it for a short period of time. There were some of you who tried it last time who felt that it was too intense, a bit too hectic, and then if you feel that it's uncomfortable or makes you feel bad, then just stop. We will try to do this 30 times and then just sit still to see how it changes the energy inside of you. And the way that we do this is that we'll forcibly press out our air through our lungs by pushing in our stomach, but we won't breathe air back in again, so we'll simply be so I'm pushing the air out, and I'm not doing it up on my chest, but through pulling my stomach in, so it's and then the air coming back in is simply the stomach going back out again, and the diaphragm pulling back the air into your lungs again. Now, if this feels uncomfortable or strange in any way, just refrain from doing so. Otherwise, try doing it 30 times together with me in your own tempo. And afterwards, just go back to sitting again and see if it changes anything. So I'll start doing it. And just go back to observing your breath again. Let breath happen by itself. as you're continuing to observe your breath, I want you to lean into enjoying, lean into appreciating, lean into feeling a soft, effortless sense of happiness, happy feet, that feeling of complete lack of things that need to be done, the feeling of things that need to be done, the feeling of good or bad things that happen, the feeling of good or bad things that will happen, and instead just enjoying the feeling of sitting here or lying down, whatever you may be doing. And there's almost like a tingling feeling or a sparkling feeling as champagne bubbles at the tip of your senses. It's as if though all the energy and all the power that you put into distorting and creating this sense of self, this story that you identify with, it's as if though all of that energy is now put into enjoying, feeling happiness of just being for no particular reason. And it's effortless. It's not something we're trying to do, it's rather you're stopping to try to make it not happen by identifying with and making up all these idiotic ideas of things that need to happen or should have happened or will happen in a specific way for you to allow yourself to enjoy being here. And instead, you're letting that feeling of fulfillment, of ease, of joy and happiness just come up to the surface as you sit and breathe and just enjoy. As you're sitting there observing your breath and leaning into enjoying your experience, make sure that there's no tension in your neck or in your shoulders. Look at your jaws. Are you clenching your mouth? Your hands? Are they squeezed? Are your legs pressed? Just make sure that all of you is relaxed as you observe your breath, breathing in and out, and focusing on enjoying the experience of being here. As you open your eyes, if you're still opening them and not keep on sitting, look for one of the things you looked at before and look at the same thing. See if it looks different. Is it easier to see it without the story? Can you see how it looks different than before? There's a different relationship when you view it. Reflections are usually clearer. Colors are brighter. I'm looking at a reflection in it now that just looks gorgeous. Wow, that's beautiful. And it's like you've never seen it before. There's a sense of freshness over everything. Same thing with your senses of feeling. Try feeling something you felt before. And see, does it feel different from before the meditation? And listen to sound. Can you hear anything that you heard before? And your smell. Is there anything you can smell that you smelled before? Or maybe something new? Yep, I still smell like sweat. Finally, see if there's something you can taste. And after that, if you want to, keep on sitting, drink a cup of tea, or ask a question if you have any thoughts. Let's see, Nadia is saying, by the way, did anyone notice a difference in doing the senses after compared to before? Could you feel any change in your perception? Nadia is saying, my job requires me to be very organized and manage a caseload. I'm sure it's making me anxious. Any advice for not thinking too far ahead? I had a friend who was, she started out as a real estate agent, and she's one of the few people I have known, I have like a handful, who just instinctively do what we're talking about, just naturally, just has that born with her somehow. And she was a real estate agent, and I always asked, like, how do you do it after you had, like, because she got a commission on whatever she sold. I said, when you have a big house that is out and you're waiting for the bids and you want to see they're going to start the bidding, did you ever get nervous? He's like, why? Well, why would I get nervous? I mean, I've done all the preparation. I've shown the house. I've done the best I can do. So now, I mean, it's out of my hands now. I can't do anything about it. So why would I be nervous? She didn't quite understand the question because it didn't make any sense to her. And I think a lot of, at least if I understand you correctly, it's a bit similar to this. There's a feeling of, oh my goodness, I might be doing something wrong, or I need to worry about this, because if I worry, then I will make it more correct, and then I will be better at what I do. And we have this feeling of, especially in America, there's this sense of like, it's okay to trade your well-being for productivity. It's okay that you feel bad if you produce better. I mean, you believe you're going to produce better, which is a crazy concept if you think about it. Now, if you start looking at organized and managed caseload, I'm sure it's, what part is it that's making you anxious, Nadia? Is it the, describe to me what about it is that's making you anxious, and then I'll better be able to answer. A general thing for when we have anxiety or worry or things about this. Let's see, I'm a nurse for children, which I love. It's a lot of responsibility. Yeah. So then it's just leaning back on what you have, your knowledge, and what you know you need to do. Worrying about it is not going to make it better. I mean, you're not going to get better at doing it. Instead, I tend to have systems, so I get worried when I pay large bills. There's something big that needs to be done, or when I have someone has told me, okay, you have to do this and it has to be done at this time. This is something that, as someone who's been burnt out, it creates a lot of that can be anxiety enhancing, so to speak. So then I try to make lists, and I make it really clear the things I need to do, and I check them off so that I can be sure, okay, this is done, that is done. And in your case, I'm assuming that the problem, if you do something wrong, could actually be life-threatening to someone, or it could have quite severe consequences. So then it's important not to just go, oh, it's okay, I'm not going to worry about this because I'm going to be without distortion, so whatever happens. No, that's definitely not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, make sure you know what you need to do, and then trust in your ability to do those things. Trust in your experience and what you've done before, that you can do this, and you always do your best. And if you feel like you are not able to do that, or like you don't have the knowledge, then just ask for advice. There can be a sense of pride in not asking for advice or asking for guidance. An example, I work as a janitor. It's one of the things I do in my work, and I built part of our house. I built a small cottage on our property, and I love building and fixing things in the house. And at home, I have a very different idea of what is okay compared to working for the municipality and repairing the property of the municipality, which is a very different idea. So we had some lamps that have these like fluorescent lighting, and they have a cover on top of them, and some of them had been falling down, so I just put a special kind of tape that is UV resistant and lasts for like ages. So I just put that so they wouldn't slide and fall down. That's fine for me. But then I thought, this is municipality. It might not be okay to fix a lamp with a piece of tape to keep that together. There's nothing dangerous about it. I trust and I know that this would be safe. But I still asked my boss, and I said, is it okay to do it this way? Because I don't want to be the one carrying the responsibility, and I want to learn what is okay, what is not okay. And he said, no, you know what, we'd rather spend the extra 200 euros, 300 euros to change it. And I thought, well, okay, if they want to do that, that's fine. So making sure that you're within what you need to do, and then just relaxing in that, meaning letting go of the fear that is going to go wrong, because things can go wrong, and then the only thing you need to make sure is that you have done everything you can to make sure it doesn't. Just make sure that you do what you can do to make it as good as possible, because there can always be mistakes. We don't always know the right solution or the right answer or the right thing to do it, and especially in a job like yours, we want to make mistakes in the direction of just being more secure than making like, oh, it doesn't really matter, we'll just do whatever. Like if I was taking care of children that were sick, I would not put a plastic tape to just hold together a tube that's going to be pumping blood into someone. I mean, if you think about it, in countries that are very poor, or countries where there is war, they do that because that's what they need to do. But hopefully, I'm assuming where you work, you don't have to do that. Nadia's saying, yes, you're right. I need more confidence in myself and also ask for help more. Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah, it really is. I mean, we tend to put so much on ourselves, and there's so much doubt and worry and fear, instead of just, okay, making it really clear, what do I need to do? And writing things down can help. And then asking for advice. Just ask others, what's okay? What should I do? Jack, what does K stand for, if I may ask? I don't want to be prude, though sorry if I am. Oh my goodness, that's absolutely not prude. No, K stands for Komar. My name is Martin Komar Patterson, and Komar is Sri Lankan. My mother's from Sri Lanka, and Komar means prince in Sri Lankan. So my middle name is Prince. My brother's middle name is Vasante, which means summer boy. And it fits us so well. I was always into the fairy tale stuff when I was a kid, and he was just a summer boy out playing. Oh, that's really interesting. He was just like my son is now. My youngest son, he's just like, oh, doesn't care, just jumps out and runs around, and just, it's so easy to be happy in doing things. Doesn't think too much about stuff. My brother is very similar. I was always the one who pondered and thought and like was serious, and he just like, oh, it's summertime, let's go out and swim. And he just jumped into the water. Wherever we were, he just wanted to be in the water. If we stayed at a hotel, we have to have a pool so I can swim. That was like his main goal. I never thought about that, but yeah, he's actually very similar to my son. Yuri Liugli. I've seen you before. I think I had a hard time pronouncing your name then as well. I'm sorry. Do you ever smell your fingers after using the toilet? Yes, I have. Absolutely. I mean, I don't usually do that, but I have. Sometimes when I was in Asia, paper, you didn't have paper. You would just wipe your hands, like with your, wipe your bum with your hands, and then you just wash them. And that's one of the reasons why people go to India many times. Their stomach gets sick because they just don't wash their hands. You get, is it E. coli, I think? It's a bacteria that lives in the guts, and then they go poop, they wipe their bum, and they then go and cook the food that you eat, and they don't wash their hands, so then you get sick. So, yeah. I mean, it's not, I always look at my poop. I find that very interesting to see how the poop is. You can tell if you're into Ayurveda, which is an Indian philosophy of medicine, might not be the right word, but of well-being, I guess, maybe. Let's say medicine. It's kind of like the Chinese medicine, but the Indian version. And they say that basically to be healthy, you need to make sure your stomach is okay and that you're sleeping okay. That's like the two basic foundations. And one of the things you should always do is look at your poop. Because if you're sick, you're going to see that your poop looks different. It will be different. It will smell different. It will look different. Mats, all right, I'll head to bed now. Thanks for the meditation, and good night, everyone. Good night, Mats. Oh my goodness, it's 9:10. I didn't realize it was that late. Yeah, time goes quickly. I enjoyed tonight. I hope you had a good time, and I hope everyone has a great weekend. I mean, a great week. Thank you for your time. Thank you too, Jack. And as I always say, focus on enjoying. Lean towards this week. Really focus on leaning towards enjoying and appreciating and experiencing the world around you without the stories. Just see the things around you without trying to feel this is mine, this is not mine, but just see it through a sense of freshness, of cleanliness, and just ease of experiencing. Thank you, everyone, and I'll see you back on Thursday.